Welcome back to Mental Models Daily, where we explore one mental model each day to help you elevate your daily decision-making. Today, we're examining a fundamental principle in economics and negotiation, the Coase Theorem, which provides fascinating insights into how we can resolve conflicts over resources when transaction costs are low. The Coase Theorem, developed by economist Ronald Coase, suggests that when property rights are well defined and transaction costs are minimal, parties will naturally negotiate to reach the most efficient outcome, regardless of who initially holds the rights. Think of it like two neighbours with competing needs. Even if one has the legal right to do something that bothers the other, they might still negotiate a mutually beneficial solution if it's easy to have that conversation. What makes this theorem particularly powerful is its suggestion that many conflicts can be resolved through voluntary negotiation rather than external regulation. A fascinating historical example of the Coase Theorem in action comes from the early days of radio broadcasting in the 1920s. When radio stations first began broadcasting, signal interference was a major problem. Stations would overlap and drown each other out. Instead of waiting for government regulation, several radio stations in Chicago demonstrated the Coase Theorem by negotiating private agreements to share frequencies and broadcast times. Station WGN and WJES, for instance, worked out a schedule where each would broadcast during different hours, effectively managing their property rights to the airwaves through private negotiation. This voluntary coordination happened before the Federal Radio Commission, now the FCC, was established, showing how private parties can resolve conflicts efficiently when transaction costs are low. In the modern business world, Unity Farm Sanctuary in Massachusetts provides an illuminating example of the Coase Theorem. The sanctuary, which rescues farm animals, faced a challenge when neighbouring properties complained about noise from their roosters. Instead of entering a legal battle over noise ordinances, Unity Farm applied the Coase Theorem's principles. They calculated the cost of soundproofing their rooster enclosures versus compensating affected neighbours. They then approached neighbours with a choice. Unity Farm would either install sound barriers or provide financial compensation for the inconvenience. Most neighbours chose the sound barriers, while a few opted for compensation. This flexible, negotiated approach allowed all parties to reach their preferred outcome without requiring external intervention. It's like having a menu of solutions where everyone can choose their optimal dish. So how can we apply the Coase Theorem in our daily lives? First, practice what I call rights-aware negotiation. When facing a conflict, start by clearly identifying the property rights or entitlements involved. Then look for ways to negotiate improvements that benefit all parties. Instead of immediately seeking outside intervention or assuming a zero-sum game, explore whether there's a more efficient solution through direct negotiation. It's like being a diplomat who looks for win-win opportunities rather than just defending territory. Second, focus on reducing transaction costs in your negotiations. Make it easier for all parties to communicate, share information, and reach agreements. This might mean setting up clear channels of communication, being transparent about needs and constraints, or creating simple frameworks for decision-making. It's like building a smooth road that makes it easier for everyone to reach their destination. Third, develop what I call a compensation mindset. When your actions affect others, or theirs affect you, think creatively about different forms of compensation or accommodation that could make everyone better off. This might involve monetary exchanges, trades of services, or creative solutions that address underlying needs. It's like having a toolkit of different currencies for solving problems. In conclusion, the Coase Theorem reminds us that when we can negotiate freely and easily, we often can find efficient solutions to conflicts without needing external intervention. By understanding this principle, we can approach disputes more constructively and create value through voluntary agreements. In a world full of competing interests and scarce resources, this mental model offers a powerful framework for finding mutually beneficial solutions. Thank you for joining me today on Mental Models Daily. Until next time, may your negotiations be smooth, your solutions be efficient, and your conflicts be resolved through cooperation. For more mental models, please visit mentalmodelsdaily.com or find us on X or Instagram. Our podcast music was provided by the podcasthost.com and Alitu, the podcast maker.